Hello, everybody. Welcome to the third video here of we chat about awards. Chris Likey Awards. Chris's Pals Likey Movie Awards is what this is called. Flawless intro. I'm Chris, obviously. We've got Jeff, we've got Taylor here, and we have had a lot of things happen in between these videos. We're not going to do a complete recap, but throughout this chat, we'll bring it up. Long story short, we've had the Golden Globes now. We've had the Critics' Choice Awards now. Today, the Directors Guild Award nominations were announced. Yesterday, the BAFTA Award nominations were announced. So we've still got the Screen Actors Guild Awards to come. And next week are the Oscar nominations. So this video is going to be all about that and us predicting what's going to happen. So I hope you enjoy this video. Let's go ahead and get started by touching base with the rest of our panel here. We'll start with Jeff. Jeff, how have you been in between these videos?
I'm doing well. One that you might have missed was the Producers Guild Awards. Came out 2 days ago, so that factors in very much to the Best Picture race, which we will be talking about later on in the video. Things are going really well. Looking forward to the nominations next week and talking about them tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I've got a few surprises up my sleeves. I'm sure you all do too. Taylor, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's been it's been really interesting seeing all the different awards shows play out, nominations come out, because I feel like we're always like, oh, the next one will give us some clarity. Oh, the next one will give us some clarity. And nothing's giving us any clarity at all this year. So it's really just a very interesting race this year. And I'm excited to talk about it and hear your all's insights.
Are you suggesting that 2020 is trying to 2020 up this race? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, Jodie Foster owns a Golden Globe. Another one.
She already had a Cecil B. DeMille Award from the Golden Globes, and she just got another competitive one. And yeah, wow. We've already begun the talks here. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna break this down into all of the 23 categories of the Academy Awards. That's right, I said 23 because the Sound Awards, we used to have two of them. There was sound mixing and there was sound editing. Not this year. All meshed together into one two-headed Oscar. I wish it was a two-headed Oscar. That'd be amazing. But you can't have everything. I mean, we've got welders here. Right? Why not? But anyway, so let's go ahead and start with the category of the shorts. And what better way to keep everybody riveted and excited by starting with Best Documentary Short Subject. I'm going to be completely honest with you all. I've only been paying attention to this race and the other shorts races every so often, glancing at them. Today I went on Variety, not a sponsor, and looked at what they were thinking. Looked a few other places, but I'll go ahead and show you mine. Show you my list here of what I think is going to get nominated. We already have a few short lists from the Academy Awards. From the Academy, they've already shown us 9 different categories of what are in the final stages of potentially getting nominated. So these are all nominees from that list. Here's what mine looks like. So we have Abortion Helpline. This is Lisa. We have A Concerto is a Conversation. We have Hysterical Girl. We have A Love Song for Latasha. And we have The Speed Cubers. Now, these are my predictions. As it says up here, Chris predicts. So this is not exactly what the nominees are, but it may be. Let's see how it differs. Let's go to Jeff next.
Okay. Similar, like Chris said, this is a short list. I have A Love Song for Latasha, Colette, Hunger Ward, Abortion Helpline, this is Lisa, and Do Not Split are my predictions. Ones I think may be there are A Concertos, A Conversation, and What Would Sophia Loren Do? I had to include What Would Sophia Loren Do in my list of potentials.
I loved that title. So you're listing them from the most likely to be nominated all the way down?
Yes, the top
Okay.
will have all together, and then there'll be a break, and then ones I think could be potential spoilers are underneath.
Okay. And I'm just listing them alphabetical, just to clarify that for all of our listeners / viewers.
Yeah, my predictions are really in no particular order. There may be a couple I feel strongly about. For the most part, I was just listing them as I did.
Okay, excellent. Taylor, do you got your nominees?
I do, but I'm just gonna read it because it's on.
Okay,
paper.
Absolutely. I'm listening. I'm all ears.
But and again, like you guys said, this is something a lot of like the more niche categories, like shorts, yeah. I'm not very read up on. It's really just intuition and shots in the dark. So I have Colette, Do Not Split, Abortion Helpline, This Is Lisa, Hysterical Girl, and What Would Sophia Loren Do? Okay. And again, these are most like guesses more than anything.
Right. I mean, I have not seen any of these, but I'm just going by what I read. I very nearly put Hunger Ward. I very nearly put the Sophia Loren subject in there, and it does have a very appealing title to Oscar. Sophia Loren's a legend, of course. But yeah, I don't know. Do we have much more to say on this category?
I don't think so. I think these will be short discussions.
I see what you did there. Anyway, so let's now go to best live action short. Here's what Chris predicted. So I've got Feeling Through for live action short. I've got The Human Voice. I've got The Kick Sled Choir. I've got The Letter Room, and I've got Two Distant Strangers. Let's see how that compares and contrasts with Jeff.
I think it's a little more similar than the last one. We have find the camera. The Letter Room, The Human Voice, Two Distant Strangers, Da Yei, The Present are my predictions, and I think White Eye and Feeling Through could possibly feel their way through.
Oh man, he's feeling punerific, everybody.
I am tonight.
Big pun. Taylor, what do you think?
I have got White Eye, and again, this is in no particular order too. I was kind of just sporadically writing like, oh, maybe that one. So no particular order. I have White Eye, The Human Voice, The Present, Two Distinct Strangers, and The Van.
Oh, did I write this title wrong? Is it Two Distinct Strangers instead of Distant Strangers? I'm going to blame autocorrect on this. I was typing it up in my notes. It may have changed distinct to distant. Who's to say? Oh, God.
It's distant, yeah.
It's distant. It's all good. I had no idea. So I think Oscar Isaac is in one of these shorts. Anyway,
we're doing such a good job.
For the toughest of coverage, come to Chris Likey movies. But we all have The Human Voice in our group. I have noticed here, and that's I think that's the only comparison. Everything else we've got completely different. So let's go to best animated short. Here's what I've got. We've got Burrow. We've got If Anything Happens, I Love You. We've got, I'm reading this backwards, help me out. Kapamahu. Yeah, there we go. Kapamahu. We have Out, and we have The Snail and the Whale. That's what I've got. Jeff, what do you got?
Very similar. I think we just differ in one. And I will say, Out, I've seen. It is available on Disney Plus, not a sponsor. Excellent. And there's also a behind the scenes making of the short film Out, both highly recommended. I also have If Anything Happens, I Love You, Burrow, Opera, Kapaimahu, The Snail and the Whale, and Genius Loci for the two potential spoilers.
All right. Excellent. Taylor, what do you got?
Like both of you, I believe, I've also got Burrow. If Anything Happens, I Love You out. And then my shots in the dark that I hadn't really heard much about, I went with Traces and Yes People.
Okay. Yeah. So I see Burrow is also on Disney Plus, not a sponsor?
It is.
Okay, it is. Excellent. I'll check it out.
Yeah, I thought I saw some advertisements for it, but I didn't know that about Out. I'm gonna have to check that out. Hey, see, you're not the only one with puns here. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Now that I feel ridiculous, let's go to some categories we might know a little bit more about. Let's start with that combo award for best sound. So here is what I've got. I think it's going to be Mank, News of the World, Nomad Land, Sound of Metal, and Tenet. What do you think, Jeff?
I have Sound of Metal, Tenet, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, and Soul, with potential spoilers, News of the World, and The Midnight Sky.
Okay. Interesting. Taylor, how about you?
I have got Mank, Sound of Metal, Tenet, Soul, and Nomadland.
Okay. I think I'm the only one that picked News of the World as getting a sound nominee. And to be honest, I still have yet to see that movie. What do you think of the sound on that, Jeff?
It's pretty good. It's your sweeping Western epic, so there's a lot of stuff happening.
That's kind of what I had a
sound wise. Yeah, I'm the only one of the three that did not pick Nomadland. I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, you know what? I do find that interesting a little bit. Because the more I think about the sound of Nomadland, and I think it's the same person, it reminds me of the sound of Roma. If I recall reading correctly, I don't have a name for you, but I can totally see the similarities of the two. Because both of them have a very documentary kind of feel at times too. So yeah, I mean, we might have a little revolutionary on our hands here with in the sound categories. So I feel like a goof not even thinking about Soul, honestly, for a sound nominee. I think that's a good shout from both of you there. Taylor, did you have to really pick your brain for some of these?
A few of them I did. For Nomadland, it kind of seemed like a no-brainer because at this point it is a front runner in a lot of categories. And the way things have been like leading up to Oscar nominations, there's been a lot of love for it. So usually when there's a front runner like that, they pick up a lot of secondary awards by default. So I think Nomadland does have a really good chance. And the two that like I put like for sure that I think are definitely locks to get in are Mank and Sound of Metal. Sound of Metal is literally a movie that's like all about sound and hearing, so that seems kind of like a no-brainer. And Mank, it's really, really interesting and cool how they managed to replicate like old Hollywood film sound. So those are my only two that I think are like sure bets, but yeah.
Did I see correctly? Not one of us chose The Trial of the Chicago 7 for this award. Yeah, so that could be a spoiler for all three of ours. Because I know that it's a big contender for editing, and with sound editing as part of the sound award, I don't know. It may factor in. Who's to say? But yeah, let's go on now. Unless anybody else have anything to say on the sound.
No.
Okay. Let's go to Best Music Original Score. Here's what I've got. I think it's going to be Mank, The Midnight Sky, News of the World, Soul, and Tenet. Two of those, of course, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. That would be Soul and Mank. Soul also has John Batiste. And I, of course, didn't write down who the composers were, but maybe Jeff has that on his card.
I do not have that on my card, but
okay, never mind.
I will say we're pretty close. with Soul, Mank, News of the World, Minari, and The Midnight Sky. And I have Tenet as a possible spoiler and Da 5 Bloods as a potential spoiler.
I thought about that one. Taylor, how about you?
I've got very similar to both of you guys. I've got Soul, Mank, Minari, News of the World, and The Midnight Sky.
We are exactly the same, I believe.
Wow. Yeah. I think I'm the only one that has Tenet in this group. It was, and the more, I mean, I did enjoy the score of Tenet, and I did have it in best sound. Man, so I saw Tenet at a drive-in movie theater, and let me just say, I don't recommend that, especially if the radio you have is from like 1979. That movie's not equipped for that.
Yeah, that was the first movie I saw when theaters started to reopen, and I felt like the oldest old man because I was like, have movies always been this loud? Like I felt so old watching Tenet in a movie theater after not seeing a movie in the theater for 6 months.
But I do remember the score having some fun kind of backwards sounding stuff. And I wondered if it was Hans Zimmer. It's not Hans Zimmer this time, though, if I recall. It's
I think it's someone different.
Yeah. I want to say Ludwig Göransson. Was that who it was?
Yes, Ludwig Göransson.
Oh, nearly nailed.
It has has an umlaut, so you have to emphasize that Göransson.
You do. Let that be a lesson to all of you. Anyway, let's go with, where is it? Here we go. Best music original song. So here's what I've got. I have Husavik from Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga. I've got Fight for You from Judas and the Black Messiah. I've got, help me out, Jeff.
Yossi,
otherwise known as Scene, and that's what I will call it the rest of this chat. From The Life Ahead. We have Speak Now from One Night in Miami, and we have Hear My Voice from the Trial. I'm reading this backwards. the trial of the Chicago 7. That's so fun. Thanks, Zoom. Jeff, how about you?
Again, very similar. And I have to start off by saying Yossi is Miss Diane Warren. I think it'll be her 12th nomination if she gets it without winning. So I'd like to see her in that list again. And of course, that's from The Life Ahead. Speak Now from One Night in Miami. Fight for You from Judas and the Black Messiah. And I have Turntables from All In, the democracy documentary. And Hear My Voice from Trial of the Chicago 7. And my spoilers, I also have Husavik from Eurovision, Rain Song from Minari, and just a sentimental favorite, Wuhan Flu from Borat, subsequent movie film. They sometimes like to award the comedic songs. You have Kiss at the End of the Rainbow from Mighty Wind. So I thought it perhaps, and it is on the short list, but it's kind of more of a wish than I think it's actually going to happen.
Oh yeah, and they also do every so often a documentary song does sneak in there as well.
The Lady Gaga.
Sometimes it wins as well. Inconvenient Truth has an Oscar here in Best Original Song. Taylor, what do you have?
I wish we were playing trivia because Chris, we have a match. We have exactly the same thing.
Oh wow!
I've got Husavik, my hometown. Speak Now, Fight for You, Scene, and Hear My Voice.
Well. All right. Well, maybe.
My, how the turntables.
Yeah. I think that's how it goes. I still think Speak Now is the favorite, even though I know Scene won the Golden Globe. I still feel like that was a little bit of a surprise when that happened. Speak Now did win for the Critics' Choice Award. So I think it's definitely between those two. Do you all agree?
I think those would be the front runners. Yeah.
I could see, I don't know. I would love to see an upset for Husavik because I really, really, really enjoyed that moment of that movie and that movie in general. But that was just a really good song. And it was a song that was actually used in the narrative too. which of all our predictions, like I think that's the only one that's used in the actual narrative and not played over the credit.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, that's right, because the Borat 2 song is also over the credits, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. No, it's in it. He performs the song in the movie.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, yes, that's right. Okay.
So I don't know. That could be another interesting thing to think about, because I feel like a lot of the times, like the nominations are just movies that play over the credits, which I guess is just becoming the norm. But it would be nice to see it go to something that's like used like as part of the narrative, or just in the film in some way.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it in the eligibility or the rule book that something that gets nominated here has to enliven the film in one way or another? Is some, I'm paraphrasing for sure here, but I feel like it had to have it. They look for songs that really kind of put some extra seasoning on the movie itself.
Yeah, they look at it as a part of the overall experience of the film and the storytelling of the film when they're considering nominations.
Yeah, and if it's at the end of the credits, what kind of storytelling is that? That's my opinion, but we're already 6 awards in.
Yay!
So yeah, let's keep this train a rolling. Next, I'm gonna go with best makeup and hairstyling, and here is what I've got for that. Reading this one backwards will be fun. I have Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Yes, nailed it. I've also got The Glorias. I've got Hillbilly Elegy. I've got Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And I have Pinocchio. That's best makeup and hairstyling. So let's now go to Jeff.
Okay, not as similar as previous categories. I have Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Hillbilly Elegy, Mank, Emma, and Birds of Prey. So I think we have 3 of the same there. And I did not write out the title because the real estate on my card.
Right. Do you have any?
I don't have any upsets on that one. Those are the 5. I've considered Pinocchio, but I don't know if it's had enough legs thus far.
Or strings, as it were. Taylor, how about you?
Mine and Jeff's are pretty close. I've got Hillbilly Elegy, Emma, Mank, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and my one that I think could sneak in there, just because it was so beloved at the time that it came out, is Jingle Jangle.
I considered adding Jingle Jangle to my list. I heavily considered it in this particular category. And then I saw that Birds of Prey as a potential nominee. And I mean, its predecessor won this award a few years ago. It was
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, Suicide Squad was a winner here. But I think it's pretty obvious that Hillbilly Elegy is gonna jump in here with that transformation of Glenn Close. And to be fair, Amy Adams to an extent. But Ma Rainey's Black Bottom seems like it's definitely got a nice momentum going in this award as well.
Yeah, it's another transformational. Like a lot of people talk about the Viola Davis transformation into that character, how much makeup played a part in that, much like Darkest Hour and Gary Oldman.
Yeah, I'm trying to recall. I know the Golden Globes don't have an award for this one, but Critics' Choice, did that go to Ma Rainey?
It went to Ma Rainey, yes.
That's what I thought. Okay. Well, we will see on that. I didn't know much about that film, The Glorias, but I saw it had something to do with Gloria Steinem. And does Julianne Moore in that movie? Does she plays Gloria Steinem?
Yes.
Okay, so it may be another transformation kind of deal. And I've seen pictures of this Pinocchio film. I haven't seen it, but the pictures look amazing.
I saw a trailer for it.
Yeah, so it could be. I don't know. It remains to be seen. Let's go to best costume design. Here's what I've got. We've got Emma. We've got Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. We've got Mulan. we've got News of the World, and we've got One Night in Miami. ... Jeff, what do you have?
I have Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, Emma, Mulan, and Promising Young Woman, with News of the World a potential spoiler.
Okay. Let's go straight down to Taylor there. What you got?
A lot of similarities. I've got Emma, Mulan, Mank, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and I threw in the personal history of David Copperfield.
I considered adding that one as well. I haven't been hearing a lot of that film lately. It's just kind of quietly waiting in the wings, and you know, it maybe to its credit, this might be a way to go. I'm sorry, my cat has his cat toy to my right here, and it's that one cat toy that he really, really loves. So if I get a little distracted, that's why. Just a little, caveat there. Anyway, I did not put Mank in mine, but you both did. When I think of the costumes of Mank, I think two things. I think of that costume dinner in the near the final scene, basically the climax of the film, when they're all dressed as certain circus performers. And I also think of that really random part at the very beginning, the lady who is only wearing pasties at the typewriter. So everything else is just kind of suits from that day and age, I feel like, except for Amanda Seyfried. She of course is wearing amazing movie star stuff. So maybe that'll be enough to get the costume design.
And I think Old Hollywood Glamour is talked about so much. I think it did such a great job of capturing that. And I think that's what it would be recognized for, is how much that played into the telling of a story from that era.
Yeah. So I have not seen Mulan. You both have, or Taylor? I know Taylor has.
I have not seen it.
Yeah. What do you think about the costumes of Mulan?
To be honest, at the time I wasn't really, super wowed by them, but it's also been like a really long time since I've seen it. But like, I remember them being like fine, and they were definitely like of the period and like of the culture that they were trying to, represent more accurately, which was nice. But it's really surprising because that movie on the whole didn't get good reviews. So it's just really interesting that it's kind of popping back up during award season at all. Yeah,
I think in this particular category, it's kind of a refreshing change from everything else that's getting nominated. You got a lot of fun armor and whatnot, so that might be factoring in. I think One Night in Miami is going to show up here. I think of those nice suits that they're wearing in this movie, and just the recreation of the 60s. That's just my take, but I Mank might be the movie to get the most nominations come Oscar time. It's checking a lot of boxes off. We also, none of us did Trial of the Chicago 7 again, right? Yeah. And I always think for that movie, I was just thinking of Abby Hoffman's American flag shirts, and I guess there is something to be said about the scene when Abby and Jeremy show up to court with an homage costume to the judge, but I don't want to give away any spoilers. It could show up, I don't know. So we're just chugging along here. So now we're gonna go to some fun 4 awards here. Let's go to Best Visual Effects. So here is what I have for that. I have Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Nailed it again. I have Mank. I have The Midnight Sky. I have Mulan, and I have Tenet, which I think is the favorite. Go ahead, Jeff. What do you got?
I think it might be a match. Tenet, The Midnight Sky, Mank, Mulan, and Birds of Prey.
That's a match.
I will say I'm predicting The Midnight Sky to have a strong showing in these technical categories because it is a space epic. So I think that bodes well to the technical categories. I also have Soul and Welcome to Chechnya as potential spoilers.
Okay. Yeah, I did see Soul is on that short list. That surprised me a little bit, but that's pretty awesome. Taylor, what do you got?
I've got pretty close to the consensus. I've got Mank, Tenet, Mulan, The Midnight Sky, and I threw in Greyhound as well.
Oh, nice. That could sneak in there. You know, the Academy loves their Tom Hanks. So this was a bit of a tricky one. Welcome to Chechnya. What can you tell me about that one, Jeff?
Not much. I just know that it's just been getting a lot of talk about the visuals in the movie to tell I believe it's a documentary, which would be even more of a.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
just I think that'd be an interesting to see in a documentary.
Yeah, it would also be very interesting if Soul were to pop up in this category, because the only animated film I can think of that showed up in best visual effects is Kubo and the Two Strings from a few years ago.
Yep.
So that would be amazing to see Pixar follow in the footsteps of that. Be saying something. I confession, I have not seen Birds of Prey. I'm a little surprised that Wonder Woman 1984 did not make the short list for this group. So I was all ready to put that one in my selection, but I feel like what's best visual effects without a superhero movie in it? So that's why that was kind of my rationale on that one. And it kind of pains me to put Mank in this category, but after rewatching it again, because I was so surprised that it showed up on the Critics' Choice Award nominees, I was like, what? Mank? Why? I revisited it. The scene when they're walking through the zoo, those are all CGI animals. There's a scene when he first meets Amanda Seyfried's character, that they're filming a stampede or something, right? I mean, so the visual effects are there. And from what I understand, there is no color version of this film. They filmed it in black and white. So to add the visual effects later and still keeping it black and white, there's something to be said about that.
And also, I just read about Welcome to Chechnya. Apparently, to avoid it, this is directly from an online encyclopedia. To avoid exposing their work, it was shot in secret using hidden cameras, cell phones, GoPros, and handy cams.
Whoa.
So it's totally guerrilla style. I definitely have to check this out now.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, sounds really fun. Taylor, what do you think about? Have you seen Tenet?
I have not seen Tenet. That is one that I was kind of excited for, and then I heard the lukewarm reviews, so I decided to pass on it for a little while. I'm sure I'll see it eventually, but not at the time of the present.
And I really wanted to find time to see The Midnight Sky today before this recording, but I just couldn't do it. I got vaccinated. So that helped a little bit. One shot down, another shot to go. I'm definitely gonna check out The Midnight Sky before the week's over. I promise you that.
I would definitely recommend.
Yeah, you've been talking up that movie since the National Board of Review, like so. I gotta check it out. George Clooney directed it, right?
Correct, and he stars in it.
Yeah, I remember he was the star of it. I gotta check it out. Anyway, let's go on to best production design. So here is what I've got. This is the award that was formerly known as best art direction. To those of you, a little factoid there. So for best production design, I have Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I have Mank. I have News of the World. I have Tenet. And I have, there it is, The Trial of the Chicago 7. Jeff, what do you got?
I have Mank, News of the World, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mulan, and Emma, with possible spoilers, Tenet and The Midnight Sky.
Okay. All right. And Taylor, what do you got?
I have Mank, Emma, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, News of the World, and Tenet.
Okay. Yeah. I was torn on if I was going to throw the Trial of the Chicago 7 in this bunch, because, a bulk of the film is in a courtroom. But then I think about the scenes that aren't the courtroom. I really love their hangout, when their kind of headquarters, the production design of that house. I've thought about when they were taking the hill. Like, there's just a lot of visuals in this film that I think can be taken for granted, and maybe the voters will. I'm not sure, but I think the favorite here has got to be Mank. Pretty. That was what it was, the one win from the Critics' Choice Awards. Is that right?
I know that it did win. I don't know about being the only win.
I think it was.
It might look that way.
Yeah. But yeah, again, getting old Hollywood, recreating old Hollywood. How can Hollywood resist? And Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is another one that just kind of primarily takes place in one spot, but it is a spot with several rooms, and
several details of the period, which is a component of that.
Yeah, there's a tent concert kind of deal at the very beginning, and you're kind of showing off some more production design there. Jeff, what can you tell me about the News of the World production design?
News of the World, it definitely puts you in that Old West environment. I think it's something that there have been a lot of movies, about the Western experience, but I think what it does well is it really focuses on each environment. Like the premise of the movie is he travels from town to town, telling the news from different newspapers. So a lot of it's like not only like the houses and hotels that he stays in, a lot of it's like almost like revival tent meetings. So that's a very good example. And the detail on the newspapers, like you buy in immediately that those are, the authentic articles. I don't know if they are or not, but it had me believing. So that's one good thing about production designs. If it's done well, you don't notice it. So it's one of those things. And for News of the World, that's absolutely. I didn't see anything that didn't feel like it didn't belong in that environment.
That's cool. No Starbucks cup on a table or anything?
No. Okay.
All right. Taylor, what do you think was the film that popped out best as far as production design so far?
I don't know. There is a really grandiose nature of Mank that I think kind of makes the front runner. I think it's definitely the most showy of them all. And I don't know, the only other one that I think would be as kind of boisterous as Mank would maybe be Emma, just because it is very, very how should I say this? The period costumes are very, very exaggerated almost in that movie, in that Jane Austen style. And it's also very colorful. So yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, let's keep going. This is one of my favorite awards here. We have Best Film Editing coming up, and here's what I'm predicting. Here I have The Five Bloods, I have Nomadland, I have Sound of Metal, I have Tenet, and I have The Trial of the Chicago 7. And interesting fact, the Critics' Choice Awards, there was a tie for this award. So we'll get to that in just a moment. Jeff, what do you got?
I have The Trial of the Chicago 7, Sound of Metal, Nomadland, Mank, and The Father, with potential spoilers, News of the World, and Tenet.
Okay. And Taylor, what do you have?
I have got Trial of the Chicago 7, Mank, Tenet, Nomadland, and Sound of Metal.
All right. So yeah, as I said, there was a tie. Those winners for best film editing at the Critics' Choice Awards were Sound of Metal and The Trial of the Chicago 7. And I noticed those were the two in the front there for you, Jeff. Was that right? Was there some inspiration there?
That was the inspiration. And the more I think of it, the more I'm feeling a little bit like I should have put Tenet in the main five, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's a lot of backwards and forwards with that movie with its palindrome title. Go figure. So that's kind of what I was deciding when I was putting this in. And yeah, I had to throw the Five Bloods a bone on this one, I think, because the Academy, we know they love their war films. And this was, the Five Bloods is kind of half a war film, I'd say. The rest of it is a kind of a fun little, almost a heist kind of a film.
I was going to say treasure.
Oh, yeah. Treasure hunts. Yeah, exactly. Taylor, did I see you had Mank in this group?
I do have Mank in this group.
Okay. What were your thoughts on that?
Kind of what we mentioned before in terms of something that could be the most nominated, but maybe not win that much. I think Mank would be one of the ones that would just fall into this category kind of serendipitously. It's got a lot of really interesting fade outs, and the way they decided to frame the story in a non-linear fashion by kind of making it like a screenplay was really interesting and kind of a different idea. But my probably top pick for this category would be Chicago 7, just because the editing in that movie is very flashy.
Yeah.
And I think there's a precedent for the flashier, bigger, most if it looks really edited, then they go for it. Something that comes to mind is anything that Adam McKay has done recently with Vice and The Big Short. Very, very
that's a great comparison. Yeah.
So that's kind of where my thoughts are.
Yeah, I actually revisited The Trial of the Chicago 7 a third time. I was actually telling my parents about the film. I've been kind of saying, hey, is there a potential nominee you want to watch today? And they chose that one. And watching it again, the editing really grabbed my focus, particularly when you've got the Chicago riots. They're splicing in footage from the real riots and a few other instances in this, and it plays so well with the script too. Editing and screenplay are hand in hand in this movie. And I think you just sold me on Mank. I might have to change my answers. That was a very good description of the storytelling going along with the editing in sort of a flawless motion. And yeah, there are a lot of fun fade ins and fade outs in that film to kind of incorporate the main character's kind of haziness, as he's healing and writing this script.
Yeah, and one thing, I don't remember where I heard it, but it was pointed out to me. It's really interesting how David Fincher chose to try and recreate iconic shots from throughout film history and kind of include those in there, so that could kind of play into that as well. It's just a really clever nod to classic Hollywood.
Oh yeah, right at the start you get the similarity with the dropping the snow globe from Citizen Kane, of course. All right, let's keep moving along. We're going to try to make this video a little shorter than the other ones we've had. And we're doing a great job with it, I think, and we're still getting all the knowledge out there. Another one of my favorite awards, Best Cinematography. Here's what I've got picked. I've put The Five Bloods. I've got Mank. I've got News of the World. I've got Nomadland. And I've got The Trial of the Chicago 7. And with that, we go to Jeff.
I have Nomadland, Mank, News of the World, Minari, Tenet, with potential The Five Bloods and The Midnight Sky.
Okay. Taylor, what do you got?
I think I matched with Jeff this time. I've got Nomadland, Mank, Minari, News of the World, and Tenet.
Okay. Interesting. One thing I forgot to bring up about film editing that last time, that Chloe Zhao would be the sole nominee for Best Film Editing for Nomadland. So we'll see if that works out.
Honestly,
Honestly,
how very Alfonso Cuarón of her.
Yeah, I will say though, the editing, like just a personal opinion, the editing of the film is one of the things that sort of taken me out of the movie a little bit. So that's, again, that's just my opinion. I'm sure there was some sort of strategy going on there. But anyway, onwards to cinematography. Speaking of Nomadland, I'm pretty sure that's the favorite so far. It's been winning so many awards. Taylor, you look like you agree with me there.
Yeah, and I do think it is deserved. It's a very beautifully shot movie, and it's so simple, but it's so sweeping, and I just think it's really unique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, an interesting tidbit about there's the Amazon warehouse part of the movie, and they didn't do anything to stage that shot. They didn't add anything or take anything away from the warehouse. It fit perfectly into their vision, which I thought was really interesting.
Wow, that is saying something. Yeah. The man's name is Joshua James Richards, if I'm right.
That's correct.
Yeah, he's been just kind of sweeping in the critics' prizes with this.
Yeah, he had the Critics' Choice win.
It's a very gorgeous film. A lot of fun sunsets, and the scene when she's excited about rocks. Like there's it's very, very appealing to the eyes. And yeah, so some of the other picks I had: News of the World. It's not uncommon to see a Western pop up in this category, I'd say. It's really fun to shoot desert, and
I think that's where Nomadland and News of the World both, is they take that American West kind of aesthetic and just kind of amp it up. But there are gorgeous visuals in both of those films.
And to an extent, Mank also has that. The house that Herman J. Mankiewicz is staying in is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. It looks like Oklahoma or something. Minari was actually shot in mostly around Tulsa, from what I understand. Speaking of Oklahoma, I can't remember. Jeff, did you have Minari on?
I did.
On this short list? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad shot there, I would say. I loved the Five Bloods in this particular case. The jungle shots. I think of all the fun ways they shot. They had different shots in this film, particularly the scene when Delroy Lindo's character is talking directly into the screen and going through the jungle with his machete at the same time. Those images just stayed with me. And there's a great the final scene we see with Chadwick Boseman in that movie. It's just all sorts of fun playing with sunlight, and I think it's underrated. I would really love to see it pop up in this. What do you all think?
Well, I did put it as a potential spoiler, so it's on my radar. I just don't know. It doesn't seem to have much traction anymore, unfortunately. It seems kind of. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of going away lately. At National Board of Review gave Spike Lee and the film the top prizes, and ever since then it's just been kind of like, well, I hope you like it. That's what you got.
Yeah, the SAG Ensemble was its last major award nomination.
Yeah, for best cast ensemble for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so not to end one of my favorite awards on a downer there, but let's keep going here. So we've got 3 different versions of Best Picture coming up here. So we're going to start with Best Documentary Feature. Here's what I have for that. So I've got Collective, I've got Crip Camp, A Disability Revolution, I've got Dick Johnson is Dead, I've got My Octopus Teacher, and I've got Time. It's on my side. Yes, it is. Jeff, what do you have?
I have Time, Dick Johnson is Dead, Crip Camp, Collective, Boys State, and then potential spoilers: Welcome to Chechnya, All in the Fight for Democracy, and My Octopus Teacher. included because of the BAFTA nomination.
We nearly had a match there, almost. Taylor, what do you got?
I've got Dick Johnson is Dead, Collective, Welcome to Chechnya, Boy State, and The Truffle Hunters.
Oh, I almost put The Truffle Hunters on mine. Yeah, I'm very, very, I feel very ill-informed to critique documentaries. I've made it a point for decades now that I try not to write reviews or give star ratings for documentaries because I just feel so out of the loop with no matter the subject, unless like wrestling maybe. But I'm really not one to judge what makes a good documentary. I've been a lot of films where I've had fun with the documentary features of it, like American Splendor comes to mind, or Bernie, where they kind of splice some documentary into a script. But yeah, I want to get more into this field. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because Dick Johnson is Dead looks like a great segue kind of a film for me. And it's been kind of a favorite, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's probably like one of the front runners right now. It's definitely one that I've heard the most about, and it's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, to those who don't know, they find out that the filmmaker's father, Dick Johnson, only has so long to live, and the filmmaker decides let's start shooting different instances of ways you could kick the bucket instead, right? And so they do a whole lot of fun kind of stunt stuff, and it looks a whole lot of fun. I haven't seen it yet. I know it's on Netflix, not a sponsor, but I would like to check it out. What Jeff? What can you tell us about some of these other documentaries that have been popping up?
I would say that Dick Johnson definitely is a front runner. I've heard a lot about Crip Camp and Boy State, just how they take a look into a couple organizations and events that not a lot of people get to see. And I think that's something that the Academy likes is behind the scenes type, like Murder Ball, if you remember from about 15 years ago, about paraplegic basketball league. So I think those are the ones I'm kind of hearing the most about, maybe because they have a little bit more that they're on the streaming platforms. They have a little bit more transparency.
I saw you had Time at the top of your list. Have you been reading some good things about that one?
I have, yeah. That's the one that's kind of in the conversation. That may not be as known as the other ones, but it's getting good. It's getting good review and good buzz.
Okay. We lost Taylor's picture just now. Oh, here he's back.
He's still
oh, okay. I know you've got something coming up, and I'm really trying to hurry this along. I'm really sorry, man.
No, you're good. You're good. It's gonna take me like 2 seconds, so don't even worry about it.
Okay. Yeah, he may disappear for a moment, folks. Don't worry. Don't you despair. All right, so we'll go on to the next award here. Formerly known as Best Foreign Language Film, we now have Best International Feature. And here is what I have. I am predicting it will be Another Round from Denmark, Dear Comrades from Russia, La Llorona from Guatemala, Quo Vadis Aida from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Two of Us from France. Jeff, what do you have?
Similar. I didn't put the countries because, again, real estate. But I have Another Round, Collective, Two of Us, La Llorona, Quo Vadis Aida. And then potential spoilers, I have Dear Comrades and I'm No Longer Here because of the DGA attention for I'm No Longer Here.
Which, yeah, again, that just was announced today. That's really interesting. Taylor, what do you got?
I have got Another Round, La Llorona, Collective, The Two of Us, and The Life Ahead.
Oh, The Life Ahead with Sophia Loren. Yeah. I bet I feel stupid for not including that one, honestly. But I think Another Round is the one that's been kind of the favorite so far.
Mhm.
But that can change at the drop of a hat, especially with this award. Just recalling Pan's Labyrinth being the favorite and then watching it lose to The Lives of Others way back in 2006. So way back in the before times. Yeah, La Llorona, I think, also made all of our lists. Is that correct?
Yep. It made mine. Yep.
Yeah, Guatemala being very proud there on that. That's good.
And it's also interesting that that's a horror movie that's getting traction at the Oscars, let alone in a foreign film category.
Right. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. And yeah, so Dear Comrades from Russia, or I'm saying that wrong. It's actually Dear Comrades. There's an exclamation point. I saw that it got some attention from BAFTA, so that's why I included that there. But yeah, now I'm kind of wishing I put The Life Itself, or The Life Ahead, excuse me, The Life Ahead instead. The Life Itself. That's a Roger Ebert documentary. My bad. Anyway, anybody have more to say about that one?
Nope.
All right. So. Well, then along we go to Best Animated Feature. And here is, I feel like it's kind of a no-brainer, but I don't know. I could be wrong. I would love to be proven wrong. Here's what I've got. The Croods, A New Age, Onward, Over the Moon, Soul, and Wolf Walkers. Jeff, something similar?
I have a match.
Yep.
Soul, Onward, Wolf Walkers, Over the Moon, The Croods, New Age, and possibly due to the stop motion Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon.
Taylor, something similar also?
Yes, we have all three matched this time.
Imagine my surprise. Sorry, go ahead.
I have got Soul, Wolf Walkers, Onward, The Croods, and Over the Moon.
Yeah, so Soul's been cleaning up, being the Pixar film and such, but you know, Onward is also a Pixar film. So
yeah, it's the first time they've ever faced each other.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Wolf Walkers is definitely in the underbelly there, like bubbling up. I could see it, like, I don't know, maybe pulling a Klaus and getting the BAFTA instead or something. But I think this is Soul's Oscar to lose. Or what? I'm sorry.
Or a missing link.
Missing link, yeah, at the Golden Globes, right?
Yeah, the
missing link on it. Wow, yeah. Ooh, that took me back. Man, I can't believe. Why do I remember this stuff? Anyway, here we go. We're now into the main 8, and I will start here with best. Let's go best original screenplay first. Here is what I think it is going to be. I've got Judas and the Black Messiah. I have Mank. I have Minari. I have Promising Young Woman. Pardon me. And we have The Trial of the Chicago 7. Jeff, what do you
got? Similar with The Trial of the Chicago 7, Promising Young Woman, Minari, Mank, and Soul, with potential spoiler, Sound of Metal. And I will say there's a behind the scenes on the writing of Soul on Disney Plus, not a sponsor. Another Pixar behind the scenes I would recommend.
Very cool. I'll definitely check that out. Taylor, what do you got?
I have got Promising Young Woman, Mank, Trial of the Chicago 7, Minari, and The Sound of Metal. Or Sound of Metal, excuse me. I always want to put the in front of it.
Oh, yeah. It's quite all right.
The hills are alive.
With the sound of metal, yes. Those hills by the factory over there. So I put Judas and the Black Messiah because I remember it being such a pleasant shock when the Writers Guild of America released their nominations. And I think that was the revealed nomination that has put that film into more of a not front runner, but into the kind of the main status it is. It's definitely taken a whole lot of steam ever since that nomination. So I feel like it's going to help it here. But yeah, Sound of Metal is definitely another way to go, and it's definitely got a lot of steam as well. I think the favorite in this is Promising Young Woman. Jeff, I saw you had the Trial of the Chicago 7 as your top one, right?
I think the split there is the Golden Globes versus the Critics' Choice. I think wins for each of those, and those awards kind of put them as the front runners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I feel like if Carey Mulligan, the star of Promising Young Woman, wasn't such a potential front runner, also, maybe Promising Young Woman would be more ahead of Trial, but yeah, I mean, we're going against Aaron Sorkin here. I mean, he's Mr. Screenplay. Taylor, you think Promising Young Woman has a chance to upset Mr. Sorkin?
I think it does, and I honestly wouldn't mind it. I like just on like a personal like level, I enjoy Promising Young Woman more. I think it's really interesting. Mm-hmm. Trial of the Chicago 7 sometimes felt like a history lesson, and it's also like maybe a little bit overlong, but I just thought that Promising Young Woman was like really, really fresh and interesting, and it really, really held my attention. A lot of it had to do with the writing. So I would welcome a Promising Young Woman screenplay win.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think it is really between those two, with a potential spoiler of Lee Isaac Chung from Minari. But I think this is the award that the Trial of the Chicago 7 has the absolute best chance at winning. Maybe Best Picture, I don't know, but I think this is a strong one for that film. I would love to see a nomination for Mank. We've been kind of saying it wrong in past videos. The writer of Mank, Jack Fincher, is actually the deceased father of the director David Fincher. He passed away in 2003, I believe it was, and wrote this script before he passed. And this film could have been made just before the film Zodiac, from what I understand, and we're just now getting it. So yeah, it would be pretty awesome to see another posthumous nomination there. I don't.
It's definitely a great narrative there in terms of like, you know, a son, you know, finally seeing his father's work come to fruition, and the fact that it's a screenplay about a screenwriter about old Hollywood kind of seems right up, you know, the Academy's alley. So it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah. So let's go on to Best Adapted Screenplay, and then let Taylor take a little break here. But so I've got, for Best Adapted Screenplay, I have The Father, I have Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, I have News of the World, I have Nomadland, and I have One Night in Miami. Jeff, what do you got?
Well, look at this. I have Nomadland, One Night in Miami, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, The Father, News of the World, and potential spoiler, First Cow. I think if it has any chance of showing up, I think it'll be in that category.
Wow. Yeah. But yeah, for sure. Taylor, do we have a three-way match?
I believe we do. I have got Nomadland, The Father, One Night in Miami, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and News of the World.
That is all three a match. Interesting. And yeah, I definitely considered First Cow. I know that it got a Critics' Choice Award nomination, if I recall right. Yes. And I know News of the World was the one that won with the National Board of Review. It's been kind of quiet since then. Nomadland came along, and it's picking up some of the screenplay awards as well. Again, Chloe Zhao. It'd be very interesting to see her win 4 times in the night, and it's looking very close to that being a reality. Wouldn't you say so, Jeff?
I would say she has a good shot, because Cuarón was 3 in the same night. Wow. One thing we've mentioned, I think it bears repeating, 3 of these are adaptations of stage plays. So I think that's a very interesting aspect of this race.
Right. That would be The Father and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and One Night in Miami. Mm-hmm. Is it two of these people have adapted their own play? I know Kemp Powers did do the play for One Night in Miami. Was it Christopher Hampton that did The Father?
Florian Zeller and Christopher Hampton. Mm-hmm. And
I know they're
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was not done by August Wilson, of course. It was done by someone else who I can't find right now. But
so the play,
it was someone
play
very
The
close.
Father was both. Sorry, Taylor, go ahead.
The play was Christopher Hampton, and Florian Zeller assisted him in the adaptation.
I see. Okay. Yeah. I miss being on the stage, y'all. This was, it would be very cool to see 3 play adaptations show up in this category.
Ruben Santiago Hudson was the one that adapted Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Right. And was this, if I remember right, this is August Wilson's first play that he wrote? Ma Rainey's Black Bottom? Is it not his first one?
I'm not sure about that.
I know it's a very early one in his repertoire, if I recall.
But I know it's another entry in I forget what it was called, but Denzel Washington promised to produce, I think it was 9 of August Wilson's plays, and this very specific cycle that he did for the screen. And they actually just announced the other day that Danielle Brooks is going to do one on Broadway, and then also the movie. I can't remember the title, but we've got more August Wilson coming.
That's
Danielle. Yeah, he did one for each decade. So there's 9.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did know that. That's pretty cool. And maybe that's what I'm remembering, that Ma Rainey was the first of the decades. But I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. Did you say Danielle Brooks from Orange is the New Black? And Broadway? Yeah.
Tony Award nominee Danielle Brooks, who I saw her understudy in The Color Purple.
Whoa. Nice. Very cool. No, shout out to understudies. We love you, understudies.
It was actually really funny. Side tangent. When I was in New York that week, I was trying to plan to go to see that show when she was going to be there. And we were tweeting back and forth. And we finally figured out that I was not going to be able to see her. She was never going to be there because she was filming Orange is the New Black.
Gotcha.
Yeah, right, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was the second after Jitney. Jitney was written before.
Okay. It is an early one though. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I did something a little different for these next awards. We're now approaching the acting awards, and we're going to start with Best Supporting Actress. I went, instead of flashcards, I have this gigantic notepad. See, look how simply huge it is. I am going to show you what I wrote on those bad boys because I want to use up this notepad. So here we go. I'll kind of scroll it here. So we've got Best Supporting Actress. Here's what I have. I have Maria Bakalova in something there's no way I'm going to read backwards. Borat subsequent movie film. I have Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy. I have Olivia Colman for The Father. I have Amanda Seyfried for Mank. And I have Yoon Jung for Minari. And down here at the bottom, I took a page out of Jeff's book a little bit here. I have some maybes down here. I was very, very close to putting Ellen Burstyn, Pieces of a Woman. I've got Dominique Fishback for Judas and the Black Messiah. I've got Jodie Foster for The Mauritanian. I've got Talia Ryder for Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. And I've got Helena Zengel for News of the World. And those are in alphabetical order, the maybes, I should point out. But yeah, very close with Ellen Burstyn. Jeff, what do you have?
We match again, my friend. I have Maria Bakalova, Glenn Close, Olivia Colman, Yoon Jung, Amanda Seyfried. And I had just 2, but there are, I agree with what you have there. Helena Zengel showed up on 2 of the precursors, as did Amanda Seyfried. So it's kind of like had to think between those, as did, those were the 2 that were in 2 of the 4. majors. And then Jodie Foster, I just can't discount because of the Golden Globe win. I think that's very important. Ellen Burstyn only got the Critics' Choice, but that performance, if you've seen it, you think you know it's definitely Oscar worthy for Pieces of a Woman.
I did finally get a chance to see that movie, and I'll talk about it in just a moment. We'll go to Taylor's picks first. Go ahead.
We've got another match, you guys. I've got Maria Bakalova, Glenn Close, Olivia Colman, Amanda Seyfried, and Yunya Zhang. And these are going forward, these are the only ones that I gave like possible spoilers for. I said they're in the bubble. But my in the bubble for supporting actress is Jodie Foster, which maybe I'm a fool to put her in the bubble because she did win the Golden Globe, but that was just such like a long shot win that it's kind of hard to like figure out if there's something there or if, you know, it was a fluke. Not that she's not deserving and she didn't give a great performance, but it's just not one that a lot of people were predicting to like happen. But I think she's like maybe the best chance for an upset. But I also maybe have like a feeling that like, I don't know, like maybe Glenn Close doesn't get in. I don't know.
That was what I was feeling. That's exactly what I was going to bring up. If I had replaced anybody there, Ellen Burstyn over Glenn Close, I was very tempted to make that a shocker. But oh man, Glenn Close has a strong following behind her again, honestly, ever since The Wife a few years ago. And she's really the only reason to see Hillbilly Elegy, in my opinion. She's elevating over everything else. Although I will say I get why Amy Adams was nominated by the Screen Actors Guild a little bit. I don't know about over some other performances, but man, Ellen Burstyn could be the spoiler in my opinion. And Dominique Fishback from Judas and the Black Messiah showed up on the BAFTAs nomination. As we said, Jodie Foster won the Golden Globe, and Helena Zengel nominated by the Screen Actors Guild, as well as for Best Young Actor or Actress at the Critics' Choice Awards. Although she did not win that award, so that kind of made me wonder if maybe her steam was coming to an end here. It was Alan Kim from Minari that ended up winning that award, and he got a BAFTA nomination too.
He did for supporting actor, which is like crazy.
How young is that guy?
He's like 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe not that young, but
hold please. I gotta have that answer to that. You know how my brain works.
He's very deserving. He's such a delightful little boy. I loved him in that movie.
I'd say he's like 7 or 8 or 9, maybe, but like I mean,
I'm pretty sure he's 2. It's 2.
I mean, the Justin Harvey from Kramer versus Kramer was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, so there is precedent.
And Kavanjane Wallace for Beasts of the Southern Wild, I think holds the record actually as the youngest nominee
for actress. Yep.
Yeah.
Actor or actress.
Right, for actress. So yeah. Maria Bakalova for Borat's subsequent movie film Delivery of Prodigious Bribe to American Regime for Make Benefit Once Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan.
Yeah, Alan Kim doesn't even have an online encyclopedia page. He's that young.
Yeah, he's like...
He's 2.
Yeah, he's 2! You heard it here first, folks.
He's 8 years old. He's 8 years old.
Okay.
8 years old. Confirmed.
2. I don't know.
I was gonna say 6 or 7 while the movie was being filmed. He very, very nearly made my list of Best Supporting Actor. But
spoiler.
Very, very nearly. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and get to Supporting Actor. Unless does anybody else have anything? Yeah, Taylor.
I was just gonna say, I feel like in Best Supporting Actress, that there's gonna be like a veteran spot, and I think that spot is up for grabs between Glenn Close, Ellen Burstyn, and Jodie Foster. So I think that's the veteran slot, and I don't know who it's gonna go to. And I don't know, I feel like there could be enough disdain for Hillbilly Elegy on the whole that maybe Glenn Close misses because she hasn't been picking up any wins and she didn't get a BAFTA nom.
Yeah. And oh my gosh. I still hope Yunya Zhang can still slip in there with these big names flying around.
Yeah, she has three of the predecessor awards and the BAFTA as part of those three. So I think she has a good chance.
She is a real grandma, damn it. She's a real grandma.
I loved her in Minari. She's fantastic. And she's maybe the number one reason to see it, in my opinion. Like she's just that damn good.
And her and Alan Kim together, like their dynamic and their chemistry is just so wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's some great moments in that movie. Anyway,
my favorite line of hers is when she says, "I drank a little bit of pee. It was funny."
Oh, spoilers. Yeah, but
I mean,
maybe. I don't know. So we're gonna go to Best Supporting Actor now. Again with my gigantic paper. Here we go. So Best Supporting Actor, I have Sacha Baron Cohen for The Trial of the Chicago 7. I've got Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah. I've got Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami. I've got Paul Raci for Sound of Metal. And as a shocker here, I should say, David Strathairn for Nomadland. I think there's always at least one nomination that's kind of out of the blue. And like, I think of in the vein of like Laura Dern in Wild, or Maggie Gyllenhaal in Crazy Heart, excuse me. I think this is going to be like a final nail in the coffin kind of nomination to kind of seal the deal in one way or another for Nomadland. If it is going to go on and win, I think his performance just pops up there. But anyway, we'll talk more about that. Here's on my maybe list. I've got Chadwick Boseman for The Five Bloods. I've got the late Brian Dennehy for Driveways. I've got Alan Kim for Minari, all 2 years of them. I've got Jared Leto for The Little Things, and I've got Bill Murray for On the Rocks. All right. So I've said my piece. Jeff, go ahead.
Very similar. Once again, Daniel Kaluuya, Leslie Odom Jr., Sacha Baron Cohen, Paul Raci, Chadwick Boseman, with Bill Murray, Alan Kim, and Jared Leto.
Okay. And Taylor, what do you got?
Oh my gosh, Jeff, we have a match. I have Daniel Kaluuya, Sacha Baron Cohen, Paul Raci, Leslie Odom Jr., Chadwick Boseman, and my one that I put in the bubble is Jared Leto.
Okay. I did finally get a chance to see The Little Things. It wasn't as... I went into it getting ready to dread this film. It was... And it's not by any means my favorite film of the year at all. But it did hold my interest enough. I was kind of getting ready for the end of the film to be disappointing for me.
Yeah. It's interesting. It was a screenplay that was written in the 90s, and it felt like a film that would have been made in the 90s.
A little bit, maybe. I don't know.
Imagine.
It felt like it was trying to be the next Seven, to be honest. Yeah, it's always disappointing to see a film kind of not stick the landing, and in my opinion, that's kind of what we have here. And I have so many questions about Jared Leto's character in particular, but I don't think that's grounds to give him a nomination. But maybe there'll be a lot of upset people. I don't know. Come nomination day. Paul Raci, he's been getting all the critics' love. So it would be a shock not to see him. He may be it may be setting up for him to be the most shocking snub, but all three of us have him on our lists, right? So
yeah, I mean, he has the BAFTA and the Critics' Choice. I think the really interesting thing about this category is, for a while, Leslie Odom Jr. was the front runner, and I think Judas and the Black Messiah has just caught so much momentum. Daniel Kaluuya winning the Golden Globe, and I believe the Critics' Choice as well.
Yeah,
I think he's kind of positioned himself as the front runner. Interesting. There's a bunch that have only got 2 of the 4. And the only one that I put in my 5 was Chadwick Boseman. When I put Chadwick Boseman and Paul Raci, there's 5. And out of the 5, I put those 2. And I think it's the sentimental will pull those 2 in. I think Chadwick Boseman was so beloved in the Hollywood community. And I think Paul Raci's connection to Sound of Metal will pull him in as well.
Yeah. Taylor, what are your thoughts on the performance of Chadwick Boseman in The Five Bloods? Yeah, you think he's getting nominated, looks like?
Yeah, I could definitely see it happen. Like Jeff said, there was so much love for him, and he was taken way too early.
Agreed.
And yeah, it wouldn't be surprising to see an overflowing of love for him with a double nomination in supporting and lead. And it would also be really interesting, kind of just showing how much he is loved, if that like potentially could end up being like the only nomination that The Five Bloods gets. So that would kind of just prove the point.
Well, and interestingly enough, the BAFTA nominations, there was a nomination from The Five Bloods in this category, but it was not Chadwick Boseman. It was Clark Peters. Most people would recognize Clark Peters from the TV show The Wire. He has a lot more of a plot line in The Five Bloods, his character does, than Chadwick Boseman's does. And maybe that's what the BAFTA's line of thinking was, but it was very interesting to me that Chadwick didn't show up there. And it's asking a whole lot to see an actor, living or deceased, show up in both categories of the Oscars for acting. Only a few can pull it off. Like we've seen it happen to Jamie Foxx. The year he won for Ray, he was also nominated for Collateral. We've seen it happen with Al Pacino. Just a slew of others. Sometimes it happens. Scarlett Johansson, right? Most recently with Marriage Story and Jojo Rabbit.
Julianne Moore, Sigourney Weaver. They all lost, but they were double nominated.
Yeah, it does happen. It's not uncommon, but it's rare. And I would love to see it. I would love to see Chadwick Boseman get 2 posthumous nominations. I just wonder, though. I mean, Best Supporting Actor hasn't had a very strong contention, really. There are quite a few names that I could pull out. I've got a few more names I could put in my maybe list, but I was really kind of grasping at straws a little bit. Like most recently, as we said, Alan Kim is getting some notice, but if I were to replace maybe David Strathairn with anybody, it'd probably be Bill Murray for On the Rocks. He's been getting a lot of critics' love. And yeah, see, I was looking at Taylor's face, like I am kind of going with my own heart a little bit by going with David Strathairn, but it strikes me as that kind of a performance, just like.
And I think it's very interesting. That's what I was hearing before award season. It's David Strathairn, and then he hasn't really shown up on any of the precursors. I found that surprising.
Yeah,
because you're right. It is very much a supporting performance. Like, it very much, he has, his storyline that fits very well into the main framework of the film.
Yeah, he contributes a lot to the film too. I mean, it's hard to imagine Nomadland without him. So maybe the Academy will recognize this. I feel like if there's anybody that has that shock value, it's him. this year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think we're definitely going to see Daniel Kaluuya. We're definitely going to see Sacha Baron Cohen, and we're definitely going to see Leslie Odom Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like you say, I think Daniel Kaluuya is the favorite. His position himself, and he has not had quite a lot of critics' love, to be honest. Coming up to this, he's had a little bit. He's definitely had a little bit, but it's the main awards. Or no, I'm saying just this year.
Okay.
Not a lot, but the Globes and the Critics' Choice came along. They really catapulted him.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, like I mentioned, the momentum of the film is there in ways that it's not for other films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. The film is gaining a lot of steam. And it's a very good film. I love Judas and the Black Messiah. I maybe liked it a little more than you two, judging by the Letterboxd reviews, but Letterboxd, not a sponsor. But it's mainly the main four actors in that film that I really enjoyed. Jesse Plemons and Lakeith Stanfield and Dominique Fishback and Daniel Kaluuya. They make a solid film. So do we have anything else more to add on Best Supporting Actor? Did we kind of cover it all?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then here we go. We're going to go to Best Leading Actress. And here's my big old poster board of it. So I have Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I have Andra Day for The United States versus Billie Holiday. I have Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman. I have Frances McDormand for Nomadland. And I have Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. In my maybe list down here, I have Amy Adams for Hillbilly Elegy. I've got Jessie Buckley for I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I've got Sydney Flanagan for Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. I've got Rosamund Pike for I Care a Lot. And I've got Zendaya for Malcolm and Marie. All right, Jeff, what do you got?
This is pretty close. I have 8 of the 10 that you just mentioned there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, our 5 are the same. Carey Mulligan, Viola Davis, Frances McDormand, Vanessa Kirby. And I had hesitation about that 5th spot, but I can't, not take the Globes into consideration. The fact that Andra Day had the win over most of those other that were mentioned there. Yeah. I also have Zendaya, because just the amount of buzz that Malcolm and Marie has generated. Amy Adams for the SAG nomination, and Rosamund Pike for the Globe win as well. And I think it has to be a factor.
Yeah. So that's a match. Is it a 3-way match? Taylor, what do you got?
It is. I've got the same main 5 with Carey Mulligan, Viola Davis, Vanessa Kirby, Frances McDormand, and Andra Day. And my one that I put in my bubble, and it was kind of just like a gut decision. I was kind of between her and Amy Adams, but I went with Zendaya, just because I feel like she has just the past year or so, she's been on such an upward swing, and she's just so likable. And she's like a fresh young talent, and she won an Emmy, and it could very much be like a welcome to the club nomination if she were to sneak in there. But I don't know, I feel like this is probably one of the ones that's got the most security so far, that I think the 5 we all listed in our main 5 is probably 90% what's actually going to happen. But stranger things have happened.
Something I've noticed a recent kind of a trend with the Best Leading Actress. It's usually the person that's 3rd on my list that gets snubbed. I hope that doesn't happen, because this year for me that would be Vanessa Kirby, or maybe Viola Davis. I think they're both pretty locked in, though. I'm going to knock on wood, of course, as I'm saying that. But were there to be so let me say this about Andra Day and Amy Adams, maybe some other people, but those two are playing characters with substance abuse problems, and the Academy is all over roles like that. So who has seen the United States of Billie versus Billie Holiday? Jeff, you did?
I have seen it.
And you've seen Hillbilly Elegy.
Yes, and
So,
I think that is a very big factor. I think also the civil rights aspect of United States versus Billie Holiday and Strange Fruit playing so much into the storyline of the film. I think that has kind of caught the attention of the critics, and it's such a on both sides, probably more so for Andra Day, such a gritty performance. I think that is what's propelled her. And to kind of put it into perspective, the four that we're pretty sure about, they've been nominated. Vanessa Kirby and Frances McDormand for all four of the precursors I look at, and Viola Davis and Mulligan been nominated for all but the BAFTAs. So I think that's why we feel very confident in those four, and we kind of have like a for that fifth spot. But Andra Day was Critics' Choice and Golden Globe nominated.
Yeah. Something to be said here, just going on record, Frances McDormand is undefeated in this category. She's been nominated twice for Best Leading Actress and has won both times for Fargo and for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. So it's very likely she's going to get nominated this year. The question is, can she keep that undefeated streak alive? And I honestly think of the bunch, Carey Mulligan is the favorite right now, but it's very, very like hair thin.
I think that's been kind of the story of this race. I think Viola Davis, Frances McDormand, and Carey Mulligan have been changing position like throughout. Like I think those three have been the front runners, but they've each been a front runner at a different time, just depending on when the film was released, depending on what particular nominations have been announced, what particular awards have been won. I think this one is very interesting. It's almost reminiscent of Glenn Close, Lady Gaga, and Olivia Colman a couple years back. I think they each kind of traded, position, and with Olivia Colman eventually, I think, again, having the momentum at the end. So it's a very interesting race to watch.
Yeah, I agree. It's and I would almost throw in Vanessa Kirby in there too, as switching positions as well, because early on her performance was like pretty lauded as being like so grounded and gritty and subtle. And for a long time, like the fifth slot was like the long shot slot, and just so happened that Andra Day made it into the Globes, and then she won the Globe, and now maybe she's not such a long shot anymore. So it really could be anybody, but I think like right now it's definitely between Carey and Frances for winning.
Yeah, mentioning that it is a very gritty year of very gritty performances. It's very much a make yourself ugly to win the Oscar, Nicole Kidman kind of year.
Mm-hmm.
I just recently watched Pieces of a Woman, and I liked that movie a whole lot more than I did as well. I would. It is so well done. And Vanessa Kirby in particular, on a personal level, like I may like her more than Carey Mulligan. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. Carey Mulligan was my favorite this whole time, and then I saw that movie. The performance Vanessa Kirby gives is just so calculated. It's like you want to go through her thoughts with a fine-tooth comb, because if you don't know the end of the film, you're wondering where her mind is the whole time. Like, how logical is she being? How observant is she being? And it's an amazing performance. I'm so happy I watched that movie. And again, Ellen Burstyn, we brought that up again. Like, she nearly took Glenn Close's spot away in my picks. I mean, Shia LaBeouf is good in it too. Like, it's a very good film. Everyone should check it out. I know subject matter wise, it's, you really got to build yourself up to see a movie like this, but it's worth it. It's definitely a story worth telling, and this movie did a very good job with it. Oh man, the very first few minutes of the film, it's almost all one shot, and
that 20-minute one shot is like crazy.
I love when films do that to a great degree.
And it's really, and it was, I remember I was listening to a review of it, but somebody mentioned that it was very, very ballsy to not have your title card show up until 20 minutes into the movie.
Right. Yeah. I was surprised there was a title card, actually. I was like, oh, but
you're just like, now it's starting. Okay. that was the prelude. Cool.
Right. I was also shocked to see Eliza Schlesinger in there. Playing her sister.
I think in my Letterboxd review, I was like, look at you, Eliza, being all serious and actory.
So we've got 3 more awards to go. So let's go ahead and get along to it. Here is Best Leading Actor. And we might have some matches again. I have Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal, Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Anthony Hopkins for The Father, Gary Oldman for Mank, and Stephen Yeun for Minari. That is exactly what the Screen Actors Guild Awards have. I think they got it right. I've got the maybes here. We've got Ben Affleck for The Way Back. We've got Tom Hanks for News of the World. We have Delroy Lindo for The Five Bloods. We have Mads Mikkelsen for Another Round. And we have Tahar Rahim for The Mauritanian. Jeff, what do you got?
I got 7 of the 10 of those. I have Chadwick Boseman, Anthony Hopkins, Riz Ahmed, Gary Oldman, Stephen Yeun.
It's a match.
Yep. Delroy Lindo and Tahar Rahim. I will also agree with you that I really think Ben Affleck and Tom Hanks are deserving. And that's another one that kind of what I was hearing before Oscar season, that is, these kind of lost steam.
Yeah.
And Mads Mikkelsen as well. Yeah, I haven't seen that performance, but just from what I've heard, potentially he could be an upset.
Yeah, it could happen. Taylor, what do you got?
It is a match. I've got the same main 5: Chadwick, Gary Oldman, Anthony Hopkins, Riz Ahmed, Stephen Yeun. And for my in the bubble slot, I was debating between Delroy Lindo and Tahar Rahim. And in the moment I was thinking about it, I landed on Lindo, but it really could be either one of those two if there was going to be an upset. And I definitely think the person who, or maybe the couple that are on the least stable ground are probably Gary Oldman and Stephen Yeun, but probably Stephen Yeun more than Gary Oldman if there was going to be an upset.
Yeah, it would be his first nomination were he to be picked. And that is worth saying. It would also be the first for Riz Ahmed and for Chadwick Boseman, provided he doesn't get nominated earlier that very day for supporting actor. But Ben Affleck and Tom Hanks, going back to them, they were nominated for the Critics' Choice Award, as was Delroy Lindo. Delroy Lindo has a lot of critics' love behind him. I'm still not quite ready to count him out, even though I just did with my nominations. But he is riding some wave this Oscar season. And there's a lot of things to factor in. He's got a very controversial kind of character. His film came out very early in the year, in the summer of 2020. And the film does seem to be losing steam. There are a lot of people behind him, though. He's been acting for quite a while, and Delroy Lindo deserves some love, to be quite frank. And yeah, he of my maybe list, I'd say he's still the favorite of those 5, barely edging out Mads Mikkelsen and possibly Tahar Rahim. who just got a BAFTA award nomination.
As did Mads.
As did Mads. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know. I feel like Mads is more of a long shot than Tahar Rahim. I feel like Tahar Rahim has gotten a couple more of the precursors, but I don't know. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Something that may hurt Mads Mikkelsen's chances is that his film could possibly be the front runner for Best International Feature, and the Academy voters may think that's prize enough. Who knows? Who's to say? But it's quite a race. The favorites going in are definitely Chadwick Boseman and Riz Ahmed. Riz Ahmed got a lot of early critics love, but it's been Chadwick Boseman's to lose, and I'd say rightfully so. Personally, his performance is heartbreakingly great. And I have yet to see The Father still. Taylor,
I'm seeing it this weekend.
Nice. And Taylor, you were wanting to see it tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I would like to. But I don't know. There's also all weekend, so
yeah. If only I didn't have to work. But I'll definitely gonna check that one out because I'm very interested in seeing Olivia Colman's performance as well. And it may be another one of those kind of tough watches, but I'm ready for it. All right, let's keep going. We're at the penultimate award. Does anybody have anything more to add for leading actor? No? All right, well, here we go. Best direction. Here's my big old poster board. I have David Fincher for Mank. I have Lee Isaac Chung for Minari. I have Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. I have Regina King for One Night in Miami. And I have Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman. Something that I should note, I wrote this and then I looked at the DGA nominees, but I'm still sticking with it. I'm happy with this. My maybe list, I have, let me try to read this backwards. Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round. Excuse me. We have Spike Lee for The Five Bloods. We have Florian Zeller for The Father. We have Darius Martyr for Sound of Metal, and we have Aaron Sorkin for The Trial of the Chicago 7. Jeff, what do you got?
This one was tough.
Yeah.
I have Chloe Zhao, David Fincher, Aaron Sorkin, Lee Isaac Chung, Regina King for my 5, with my maybes / spoilers / on the bubble, Emerald Fennell, Florian Zeller, and Spike Lee.
Okay. And Taylor, what do you got?
Interesting. I'm the only one of the three of us that didn't predict Regina King in the main 5. I've got Chloe Zhao, David Fincher, Aaron Sorkin, Emerald Fennell, and Lee Isaac Chung, and my number 6 in the bubble is Regina King. But yeah, very interesting that you guys think Regina King is going to get in. I think she's just going to miss.
And that's exactly what happened with the DGA nominations. Taylor, I think, did you just, you have the exact same 5 as the DGA nominations, unless I'm mistaken.
Oh, do I?
Sorkin, Fennell, Zhao, Chung, and Fincher.
Yep.
Yeah. So, did you see the DGA nominations today?
No, I did not.
Whoa, that's wild. Nice.
Yeah, I actually made this list last night.
Oh, cool. Wow. Well, I mean, if you were predicting that, you nailed it.
Yeah, my thinking is it's very rare that the DGA and the Oscars line up together. I'm thinking there's always like one that's off. And Regina King did get a nomination for Best First Feature as a director. My thinking, because for me, I think Regina King and Emerald Fennell are battling for that 5th spot. And I think what kind of hurts Emerald Fennell, I don't know if that's the best way to say it, is that she is involved with the screenplay. So I think kind of like what you're saying with another round in Mads Mikkelsen, I think that might be something that the Academy is going to look at. And that's why I think Florian Zeller and Emerald Fennell may not make it into the director race, is because they're so entrenched in the screenplay races. But for me, I think it's a very tough, I mean, because I want both of them. I loved both of their direction. So we're really, that 5 spots, like I really wish they would expand like the Emmys have and have more than 5. So
you want to hear something interesting, Jeff? This is exactly my line of thinking about why I didn't think Aaron Sorkin was going to make this list, because he is such a strong nominee for original screenplay. So it's man, it's really tough, isn't it? This race. And I think he does do a better job with the writing than the directing in The Trial of the Chicago 7. They're both very good. But I think Emerald Fennell does a better package job personally. Taylor, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I was actually going to bring up Aaron Sorkin. If I was going to take somebody out of my main 5 that I think are going to get in and replace with Regina King, I think it would be Aaron Sorkin. I think Trial of the Chicago 7 is like a fine movie, but I don't think anybody leaves being like, oh man, that direction.
Right.
It feels very, to me at least, it feels very generic, like Oscar baity kind of, historical movie. But yeah, I could definitely see maybe him getting left out, but I don't know. I have a feeling that Emerald Fennell is like, I think she's in there. I think she's in there to stay. And especially here recently, there's been a lot of love for Promising Young Woman. And I feel like a lot of the love for One Night in Miami has kind of started to fade. So
I will say it's another there's a lock here, and we're tiptoeing around it. Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. Right now, it does seem like it's hers to lose, which is a very cool thing to see. But I think it's also very interesting. We all 3 chose Lee Isaac Chung to get nominated for Minari. I would love to see it happen. He might be a little bit of a long shot with the other 4. The other 4 have been getting a lot of notice. But it would be grand to see him secure that nomination. And he's another screenplay alongside nominee as well. So who's to say? It's such a tough race. All right, are we ready for the last one?
Let's go.
Are we ready? Let's go. All right. Yeah. So I've got 2 pieces of paper here.
That mine's extra squinty for this one.
First, I'm going to show you all a little chart that I made. I'm going to put the microphone down here. Maybe not. No, I'm not. So I've got over here on this side of the chart the awards, the Producers Guild, the Critics' Choice, the Golden Globe Drama, Golden Globe Comedy or Musical, the BAFTAs, the SAG Awards for Best Cast, National Board of Review, and the AFI Top 10. And then up here, you got your movies in alphabetical order. And let's see, I'm going to try to put this microphone down and hold this at the same time. You all can still hear me, right? All right. So that's basically what my chart is looking like. So we've got color coordinated X's, and an X with a circle around it is a win. So yes, of course, the AFI top films, those are all wins. Those all count as wins. But we've got a front runner, I believe. So I'm going to show that chart for just a little longer. Okay, that's enough. And now I'm going to show you my picks for Best Picture. And they are Judas and the Black Messiah, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, One Night in Miami, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. I believe there will be 9 nominees. And here is my, I've got, instead of maybe list, I've got kind of where I'm ranking, where I think all of them are showing up right now. I've got Nomadland at number 1, Trial of Chicago 7 at number 2, Minari at number 3, Promising Young Woman at number 4, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom at number 5, Mank at number 6, Sound of Metal at number 7, One Night in Miami at number 8, Judas and the Black Messiah at number 9, News of the World at number 10, The Five Bloods at number 11, Borat subsequent movie film at number 12, The Father at number 13, Soul at number 14, and The Mauritanian at number 15. So that's kind of where my head is right now. Let's go to Jeff. What do you got?
Oh, I will say that I have 2 different spreadsheets that I use for this. One takes in consideration National Board of Review, AFI, Golden Globes, SAG Awards, DGA, PGA, and BAFTAs. And this year, no one film has taken Best Picture at all 8. Minari has taken a couple like Best Foreign Language to be honored by all 8. And then I also have a very complicated spreadsheet with even more different awards to come up with a very similar list that you just had, Chris. I think there will be 8 this year. So there's one that we differ on.
Okay.
And I'm going to get extra close. Maybe I'll scroll as well. Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, The Trial of the Chicago 7, Mank, One Night in Miami, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Minari, Sound of Metal.
Okay.
And then for my maybes, The Five Bloods, The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, and News of the World.
All right. Going for 8 nominees. Very interesting. Taylor, what do you got?
I have your 9 exactly.
Whoa.
I've got Mank, Nomadland, Trial of the Chicago 7, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, Minari, One Night in Miami, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and Judas and the Black Messiah. But where we differ is I think either the 10th nominee or the one that could get in over something else, I think is The Father.
Interesting. Okay. And,
which I know you guys both put those kind of lower, which is interesting because I had that as I was like debating putting that in my 9.
Yeah, I have it as my number 13. It did get a Golden Globe nomination for Best Picture, and it just recently got a BAFTA nomination for Best Picture. That's, I don't know. It's kind of been quiet for the rest of it though. It never did show up on the AFI or the National Board of Review. It's a quiet contender. It doesn't mean it's not a strong contender, but that's why I ranked mine so low for The Father. But it also is a screenplay potential favorite. It has 2 strong performances going for it, so The Father could sneak in there.
Mm-hmm. And I think if I was going to take one out of my 9 and put The Father in, it would probably be Sound of Metal, but there's been like a lot of momentum for that one as of late, so I think it'll just make it in.
Yeah, Sound of Metal was recognized by 5 of the 8 precursors I look at.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that love that movie and it has a very necessary story to tell that doesn't really get touched upon very often. So yeah, I think Sound of Metal, I've got it as my number 7. It's pretty securely in there. And it's usually 8 or 9 nominees, right? I mean, it's never been 7 only.
Correct.
Okay, so yeah, so if the Oscar race was still only 5 nominees, my race would be Nomadland, Trial of Chicago 7, Minari, Promising Young Woman, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. But yeah, Mank at number 6. It's so hard. Like I'm so used to this.
I'm trying to think of the same. My 5 would be Trial of the Chicago 7, Promising Young Woman, Nomadland, Minari, and then either Mank or One Night in Miami.
Interesting.
just based on, like I said, the 8 precursors.
Yeah, and looking at my chart, I'm wondering if maybe I need to flip One Night in Miami and Judas and the Black Messiah. I've got One Night at 8 and Judas at 9. And Judas has been kind of moving up, and One Night has been kind of getting less attention. So it's such an interesting kind of a thing to predict.
Yeah. It's interesting that, you know, you were saying if you were picking 5, Mank would be your 6. I think my 6 would be Ma Rainey.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking it over. And I was kind of I was looking at statistics at the same time. Ma Rainey has been doing a better job at collecting nominations for Best Picture than Mank has, surprising as it is to say. Mank has been doing okay, but Ma Rainey, I think this is more credit to the performance of the late Chadwick Boseman too, and just a refreshing adaptation of an August Wilson movie. Like we had Fences a few years ago, but I think it did leave a lot of people wanting more. It was a perfectly fine movie, but they wanted more, and I think Ma Rainey delivers on that. So yeah, I think I'd stay strong with Ma Rainey at my number 5 and Mank at my number 6. But Mank is a lot more of a traditional kind of a film that the Academy would look for. So
and it's also a deeper film, like nominations wise, is what we've been saying. It has a good chance of showing up in a lot of different categories, which is something that, you know, bodes well for a Best Picture nominee.
Yeah. Yeah, if there were going to be 10 nominees, I've got News of the World as my 10th one. And you touched upon why. We were just going over all the technical awards, and how many times did I have News of the World popping up in mine? It checks a lot of the boxes. And sometimes that really helps come award season. I can't believe I'm putting Borat 2 at number 12, but here we are. It did get a Producers Guild nomination.
But yeah, it actually figures high on my like my other spreadsheet. It actually is at number 7 because of that. It factors in acting wins and Golden Globes. So yeah, it's just interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of have like 2 different perspectives. I have the main 8, which is just did it factor or not, and then the one where it digs a little deeper with writing and acting and directing noms from a couple different organizations.
Yeah. Borat, subsequent movie film, won Best Picture at the Golden Globes for comedy or musical. So it's up there. But when I was looking at the Producers Guild nominations, and that's again another one where it doesn't entirely match the Best Picture race, just like we talked about with the Directors Guild. I feel like lately the Producers Guild, they've given nominations to films like Deadpool and Wonder Woman, and there are films that have kind of a popularity factor, I feel like, and I think Borat 2 is the one this year for that. I'd be amazed if it got a Best Picture nomination from the Oscars. I'd be amazed. It's a film that does its job. It made me laugh a ton of times. It's the highest degree of shock value humor, but Best Picture,
it would be very, very strange to see Best Picture nominee Borat 2. But I did want to bring up, while we're talking about Borat, it's really interesting that Palm Springs snuck up and took Critics' Choice from it, which I personally think, in my personal opinion, I think Palm Springs is a better movie, and I wish it was getting more recognition, but it came out in the summertime, so short-term memory of voters.
Yeah, if I had put a maybes list, Palm Springs would definitely be showing up in the original screenplay, along with a few others. I kind of wish I made a maybes list with my screenplay picks. I'd be throwing in things like I'm thinking of ending things and a slew of others. But
did either of you get a chance to watch Palm Springs yet? I know I've
seen it.
I haven't had a chance yet. What do you think, Jeff?
I think definitely the screenplay is the strongest. But I also think that Andy Samberg and Christina Milioti both do amazing work in it. I mean, a lot is asked of them from the screenplay, and I think they deliver.
Yeah, Samberg got a Globe nomination. Sorry, go ahead, Taylor.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, Chris, I think you and Sue both would really enjoy that movie. It seems like a Sue movie.
Yeah. We'll have to find a good, trusting, healthy friend that has Hulu, not a sponsor. Although I've been considering buying Peacock, not a sponsor. I don't know if I could get it through that or not. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, so this pretty much concludes our video. Was there anything in the past awards you all wanted to touch up on that we haven't talked about with the Globes or the Critics' Choice Awards? For instance, I'm very happy Carey Mulligan won the Critics' Choice Award.
Same.
I was pleased to see that. She needed that boost.
And then the next day, the BAFTAs snubbed her. I don't know if it was the next day exactly, but I don't know. There's no clarity.
Well, I read that the BAFTAs employ a very different process of picking the nominations now, and some people say that led to some of the surprises and things that for performances that have not been nominated anywhere else. So I need to read more about the new nomination process, because I know they kind of overhauled it for this year.
They switched. I was listening to a podcast and they talked about it. They switched to a jury system. So a lot of the nominations were decided by a jury of 7 to 12 people, which is very, very small.
Yeah.
So that's kind of can account for some of like the head scratchers that came out of the BAFTAs this year.
The only thing I can think of that's potentially kind of slowing down Promising Young Woman, I don't remember where I read this article. It was an article written by a woman that was somebody that did not like Promising Young Woman, and it's hard to say exactly why on this video without giving away major spoilers of the film, but it potentially had something to do with people that were not directly involved with why she's doing the things she's doing, their lives getting factored in a little bit. There's a character that gets lied to about waiting for her favorite band, for instance. I think you both know who I'm talking about. But I'd be lying if I weren't going to tell you that I haven't been thinking about that article and going over in my head. And it never says in the film that the main character's moral compass is completely intact. In fact, she's being questioned by a lot of her peers about why she's doing some of the things she's doing. So it's an interesting conversation to have, and maybe once more people see Promising Young Woman, we'll have that discussion. But that's the only thing I can think of that could be hurting its chances, is people are objecting to some of the actions of the central protagonist.
Yeah, I think it asks a lot of the audience, and I think some people aren't. If you're not committed to it, it's going to be a very different experience. I think the three of us are very, along for the ride, and I think if you're not, then it's a very different film.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
but it's I don't know, in terms of like what you just said, I feel like trying to avoid spoilers again. I don't think she has. I don't know. She's all about mind games.
Yeah.
Lying about a concert isn't hurting anyone, if that makes sense. And
Right.
even the one time, again, no spoilers, that she considers hurting someone, she reneges on it. And I think that's what keeps you on that character's side.
Yeah, and if I find that article, I'll share it with you all. But I can't think of what they were writing for, who they were writing for. But it's out there, and it might be hurting its chances. Hopefully not. But we'll conclude. We'll just go ahead and stop there, and we are going to do probably one more video where we actually predict the winners once we know for sure who the nominees are. And again, this is what we're feeling at the moment. Come Oscar night, we may change our mind completely on who should be nominated, who should win. I like to live in the present, and that's what I think you all are tuning in for anyway. So please hit subscribe, punch that bell. I promise you the game show is coming back. It's going to be some time after the Oscars. My brain is very occupied these days. It's an annual thing. So long from Jeff. And
Thanks,
so long from Taylor. Yep. We love you all. Thank you for subscribing, and keep watching those films. We'll see you again at a later date. Subscribe.